welcome to the Tiny Daily Kick. I'm Jason Stephenson, and today I'm really motivated. And I'm talking about motivation, but I've got to tell you something. Right now, we're moving into springtime, and the gazanias, the wild gazanias, are out everywhere on the roads, and I've got some spilling over into my garden. And although they consider it kind of a weed out here in South Australia, I know that in Africa, they are everywhere in Africa, and they're kind of more respected there. But the colours are just magnificent. I know it's kind of right off topic, but in a way it's not, because it actually inspires me to do this podcast right now. Speaking of motivation, I've realised that it just doesn't come like some magical guest knocking at your door and say, okay, I'm here, you can start now, you can show up. No, motivation often meets us when we've already begun the process. Now, some of you probably know that I've tried a lot of things in my life, and not everything has worked out the way that I had hoped or imagined. But here's some truth what I did learn. You won't know what's right for you until you give it a go. And if it's not for you, that's okay too, because the only way we find out the yes is to move through a few of the no's. Honestly, we spend so much time waiting for that perfect time, that perfect sign, that perfect plan. But perfection is really just procrastination all dressed up nicely. Most of the time, what's really holding us back isn't laziness, it's actually fear. And that could be fear of failing, fear of getting it wrong, fear of looking silly, fear of change, or even, and this one's a bit of a sneaky one, fear of success. Because when success comes, it often means change. And change, well, that kind of feels uncomfortable, right? I get it, because I love routine too. I like some change up every now and then, but I love it when I fall into that regular pattern. Just when everything feels steady and familiar, there's kind of a safety in that. But the truth is, if we want to grow, there comes a time when we have to step outside of our comfort zone. If we want change, we have to change. And that can be just even one small step. And that's where life starts moving again. Let me tell you a little story. Years ago, I was invited to take part in a Buddhist singing contest. It was an international one, but the heats of the contest, the singing contest, were being held at the local Buddhist temple. And a friend of mine asked me, would I like to go along and sing his song? And I remember at the time thinking, I'm not sure about this. What am I doing? I'm not even sure if I can do this in the key he suggests. And I was nervous, and I was unsure if I would even go through with it. But something inside just said, Jay, just give it a try. You got nothing to lose, so just try. So I showed up. And you know what? I won that heat. But it didn't just stop there. That little decision, that little bit of uncomfortableness, well, that one moment of saying yes took me all the way to the international finals in Taiwan. And I stayed in temples. I got to meet incredible people. I sang my heart out, probably to the largest live audience I've ever sung before. And I ended up winning. Well, the song won the entire contest that season. It was more of a song contest. It wasn't about the singer. It was more about the song. But my song, the song I sang, won it. And I was absolutely thrilled. And that's one moment of courage that opened doors that I never even knew existed. And a few years later, I was even invited again, and this time in Malaysia and Singapore, all from that single little shaky yes. And to think that I almost just didn't go, I could have passed that off. So when I tell you you'll never know if you never go, I mean it. Because either way you win. Because if it's meant for you, motivation will kick in and carry you forward. And if it's not, then you've learned something. You maybe grown a little braver and cleared some space for what is meant to come your way. And please don't get caught up in the idea that you have to be perfect from the start. You don't. None of us are. And I know in my heat, singing, I certainly wasn't. Probably far from it. I've recorded things that didn't work, projects that fizzled, and started things that led me in directions that I never expected. But each of them taught me something valuable. And each one got me closer to where I am today. You know, in all honesty, it took me years to finally start this podcast. I talked about it over the last couple of years, sometimes planned it a little, dreamed it, but for whatever reason, it just didn't happen until it did. And once I finally stopped overthinking and just hit the record, something clicked. It felt right. The timing, the message, the energy, it just all lined up. All my ducks were lined up. But it never would have happened if I kept waiting for myself to feel ready. So maybe this is your sign. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Stop worrying about being perfect. No one is. And stop waiting for motivation, because it shows up once you start moving. Feel the fear, do it anyway, take one small action today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. And I'll say this with love, but also with a little bit of fire today. Today's tiny daily kick is not so tiny. It's a little bit harder. Get off your ass and go for it. You'll never know if you never go. I would like to take this moment to personally thank my regular supporters who support me each month. Thank you to you. I've listed my supporters below in the information section. If you've enjoyed the podcast and maybe you would like to support me, please click the support button. I would appreciate that. Just consider it like buying me a coffee each month. And if you've been enjoying these tiny daily kicks, don't forget to follow and share the podcast so others can join. Until next time, I'm Jason Stephenson. Imagine boldly, then go out and live it.